Hello everyone, and let me start with today's session. And today's session we are going to discuss about answer writing practice. This answer writing practice will be based on the analysis of our previous year questions. And first of all, you need to know that Indian Society of GS Paper 1 is an important section of this paper. Writing, if you develop an answer writing practice for this particular section, you will be able to answer various other section of various other papers, because Indian society ki understanding is going to be very useful for you for various other sections of the GS paper. क्योंकि each because different questions that come in different section of GS papers. GS paper is of different GS paper 1, 2 and 3 and 4. In all the answers, somewhere or the other, Indian society का जो understanding है, that is going to be very relevant for you. So when you are developing an answer writing practice for this particular section, and that is why this section is considered to be very important, you also develop an answer writing practice for various other parts of your mains answer writing. Now before we get into that, the discussion of, because ये हमारा first session है about the analysis of previous year question paper to develop our understanding on the answer writing practice. So इस first session में I will first give you an understanding how to approach this particular section of GS paper 1, because you have to understand one thing, that you are not writing an answer like an expert. Okay, you are answering as per the question. That's it. You are answering the demand of the question. जो expert होता है वो हर जो उस topic पे they try to provide very vast understanding of that particular question. You are not supposed to do that. You have to first understand the question, and then as per those understanding you have to provide the your answer in a very specific manner. When I say specific manner, उसका मतलब क्या है? उसका मतलब ये है कि आपका जो आंसर है ना वो बहुत ही structured होना चाहिए. It has to come with a flow. It has to come with a beauty of writing the answer, so that when somebody who's reading your answer will understand, okay, this person has a knowledge of the question which was asked from this person. This person is not trying to educate me on various other things apart from what was asked in the question. No, you are not supposed to do that. You are going to focus on this question first, and then you frame your answer. क्वेश्चन पे फोकस करना भी एक आर्ट है, वो आपको मास्टर करना पड़ेगा इफ़ यू रियली वांट टू डेवलप योर आंसर राइटिंग स्किल्स. Try to understand this thing, and I repeat it again and again in all my session. Mains is not about knowledge. It is not much about knowledge. It is about your answer writing skills. और अगर आपने आंसर राइटिंग स्किल से एग्जामिनर को प्रसन्न कर दिया, इफ़ यू मेड हिम हैप्पी, देन यू आर थ्रू. So that's why this whole understanding of answer writing is very important. So let's see what section which we are going to discuss now. Indian Society of GS paper 1. Generally it comes from 40 to 50 marks. Sometimes it also goes beyond 60 up to 70 also. The marks component of this section for GS paper 1 is very important. Okay, but as I said earlier, that the marks component of this paper is definitely important for GS paper 1, but it is also important for various other papers that you have to write in mains. For example, essay paper. ऐसे में कोई ना कोई टॉपिक इंडियन सोसाइटी से आ सकता है, And if you have mastered the skill of writing Indian society section answer, then your essay writing will be smoother. Okay. Apart from that, in GS paper 2, जो आपका सोशल जस्टिस का जो सेक्शन होता है, उसमें भी द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ इंडियन सोसाइटी इज गोइंग टू कम वेरी हैंडी. सो if you know how to put your and why it is important, because they want to the examiner wants to know your skill of understanding. Do you understand Indian society or not? Why? Because you have to function in Indian society, you have to work within that society. So with this section they want to know whether you understand the Indian society in the in the past, or and also in the contemporary changes that are happening in Indian society. इसीलिए क्योंकि वो आपकी ये सब स्किल देखना चाहते हैं. if I take you directly to the topics, इसीलिए अगर आप इसके टॉपिक्स अगर देखेंगे, and I'm taking you to the next slide quickly, तो उसमें आपको ये समझ में आएगा that the topics which are covered in this particular paper are not only about the history of Indian society, or the past, or which forms Indian society. तो इसमें सिर्फ salient features और diversity ही नहीं पूछी जाती है. They also cover topics such as urbanization, globalization. These are very contemporary issues. Okay, so they are also talking about the issues which form the Indian society. Okay, from past to present, but they also talk about questions which help in the formation of Indian society and how that formation is taking shape in the contemporary times. Okay, तो इसका मतलब ये है कि इंडियन सोसाइटी का एक पूरा स्पेक्ट्रम आपको कवर करना है, विच कवर्स द पास्ट एंड द प्रेजेंट. यू शुड नॉट ओनली बी नोइंग अबाउट द डाइवर्सिटी, बट you should also be knowing about that how this diversity is having or is getting impact or getting transformed or getting or changing because of the factors like urbanization or globalization. Diversity क्या होती है कि what kind of different religion, region or caste or gender, what kind of different category of people are there in Indian society. अब उन sections और category of लोगों के ऊपर urbanization का, globalization का क्या impact हो रहा है. So this section is going to cover your knowledge on these aspects also. So you have to be very well versed about the present and the past. अब ये ज़रूरी नहीं है, another very important aspect that I want to cover, अब ये ज़रूरी नहीं है that one particular question is going to cover only the past, or question number 2 sooner or later, question number 3, question number 4 is only going to be talking about the present. It is quite possible that when you read the question paper or the question very carefully, within the same question इस तरह से ट्विस्ट और इंटररिलेटेड बनाए जाते हैं that within the same question they would like to check your knowledge, whether you know the little bit of history of Indian society and how that history has brought it into the present time. Okay, so आपको अपने आंसर में कभी कभी एक वाइड स्पेक्ट्रम ऑफ नॉलेज देना होगा, जिसमें आप शुरू करेंगे थोड़ा पास्ट से, बट यू विल ब्रिंग द आर्ग्यूमेंट टू द प्रेजेंट टाइम्स. रिमेंबर दैट. बट वो कब होगा, कैसे होगा, दैट द क्वेश्चन इज गोइंग टू टेल यू. ऑलराइट, सो इट इज कमिंग बैक टू दिस सेक्शन जिसका हम एनालिसिस करेंगे. बट बिफोर एनालिसिस वी सी प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन पेपर पढ़ने से पहले वी नीड टू नो what is going to be asked in those questions in general. Then we go to the specific question, then you will be able to develop the confidence कि अगर आप एक overall understanding develop कर लेते हैं और on that topic, then it is quite possible that you will be able to address any issue or any topic decently. अगर आपको उस पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन का एक स्पिरिट पता है कि इसके अराउंड इस तरह के क्वेश्चन पूछे जाते हैं, when you know the spirit, then you will be able to address those topics. So that is how you are supposed to develop an understanding first before you get on with the answer writing practice on the basis of previous year questions. So I have already told you why these topics are important, which are covered in Indian society. One important thing that you have to keep in mind, the questions are interrelated. अगर इसमें टॉपिक है डाइवर्सिटी और लेट्स से देयर इज अ टॉपिक ऑन जेंडर और विमेन एम्पावरमेंट एंड देयर इज वन टॉपिक ऑन लेट्स से पॉवर्टी, okay, so they might ask you question on which are combining women and poverty, or they which are combining women and let's say globalization. To check your knowledge, अब इन दोनों को कंबाइन करने का रीज़न क्या है, विमेन एंड ग्लोबलाइजेशन, ओके, और विमेन इन पॉवर्टी. इसका एक ऑफकोर्स एक रीज़न ये है, दे वांट टू चेक योर नॉलेज इनटू मल्टीपल डोमेन बाय आस्किंग वन सिंगल क्वेश्चन. बट इसका एक और बिगर रीज़न ये है दैट दे वांट टू चेक वेदर यू कैन थिंक ऑन दीज इश्यूज which are related to Indian society in a interconnected manner. क्या आप एक फैक्टर को दूसरे फैक्टर से जोड़ के किसी सिचुएशन को समझ सकते हैं? Can you understand all that? Or if you are only or you have a bent of mind that you are focusing on only one aspect, वो कैसे पता लगता है? When you are writing an answer, for example, women empowerment, okay, plus globalization, I give an example here. They give you a question which is about women empowerment and as an outcome of globalization, okay, and they want to, let's say they want to check your knowledge whether you can combine these two and provide an understanding on that. Now if you give more time or more space in your answer to globalization and lesser time in your answer to women empowerment, then it is a reflection of your thought process that you are unable to combine them in a proper manner. You have a tendency to overlook one factor and focusing on the other factor as per your convenience, okay. So it is very important that when the question is asked by combining two factors together, you give due space, due attention to those two interrelated topics in your question in a proper manner. You should avoid focusing on one aspect more and the other aspect is getting ignored. ये आपको नहीं करना है, okay. So the questions to trick you, to see your knowledge, to see your analytical bent of mind, to see your understanding on multiple topics, the questions are going to be interrelated questions. इसकी एक ही की है that you give interrelated answers. Please keep this in mind. This is going to solve many issues pertaining to answer writing. You have to keep this in mind, please. Now, why the answer writing of this is going to be important for you? Because there is a substantial marks component for this particular section. As I said, it is not only relevant for the Indian Society section of GS Paper 1, it is also relevant for various other sections of various other papers that are going to be covered in your mains paper. which means that उसका जो marks component है इस Indian society का वो that is quite wide. Now, if whether you put the understanding of Indian society in GS paper 1 on any other paper like GS paper 2, current affairs are going to be your key. So Indian society की answer writing में your understanding of society based on current affairs is going to be very important. Because as I said, if they want to check your knowledge on the spectrum of past to present, so present तो आप current affairs पे ही बता पाएंगे ना. You have to quote some current affairs or some current events to qualify that okay, you have a knowledge on this particular aspect in the contemporary times, and that is how you are presenting it. So current affairs knowledge is mandatory. You know it is mandatory for different kind of answers, but for Indian society also. You see, आपने current affairs पढ़ लिया, आपने इंडियन सोसाइटी पढ़ लिया, अब आपके लिए ज़रूरी क्या है? अब आपके लिए ज़रूरी है कि आप इन दोनों को मिक्स कर पाएँ और अपने आंसर को एक फ्लो में, एक स्ट्रक्चर वे में प्रेजेंट कर पाएँ. दैट इज़ व्हाट यू हैव टू डू. You are not supposed to think, okay, Indian society, I only have to talk about Indian society and whatever is you see around them. No. Wherever you feel that you have read about an event which should come as an example of the question which is asked in this section of Indian society, please bring it in your answer, because that will give weightage to your answer. Why it will give weightage to your answer? Because that will give weightage to your knowledge. That will show that you have the ability to connect two dots in a right manner. That will show that you have the ability to put things in the contemporary perspective. So आपको contemporary knowledge पे ज़रूर लेकर आना है अपनी कि okay, in this particular question I also hold a contemporary knowledge. So इसलिए current affairs की usage जिस भी आंसर में आपको you feel that it's going to be very useful, or you have to remember, you have to substantiate your answer with current affairs. You have to write a rich answer. Okay, so that's why current affairs knowledge is important. Okay. Now, mostly people do this mistake that they take Indian society section little lightly. Why? Because they think that we stay in the Indian society, whatever will come, we will be able to answer it on common sense basis. Okay, because we are all part of Indian society, we will be able to write something or the other. But remember one thing, we all are part of Indian society, but the questions are not going to be on common sense about the society. The questions are not going to be what you can actually, and for that matter, if you are able to, even if the question comes which is so commonsensical, you will be able to write only 1 or 2 lines on the basis of common sense. But अगर question 150 words का है, ठीक है, तो वो आप कैसे लिखेंगे कॉमन सेंस में? उसमें तो आपको एग्जाम्पल्स भी देने हैं. ओके, यू हैव टू राइट सम फैक्ट्स ऑल्सो, यू हैव टू राइट अ कंक्लूजन ऑल्सो. अब कॉमन सेंस में ये सब तो नहीं आ सकता है. एग्जाम्पल, फैक्ट्स, कंक्लूजन, अ हेल्दी कंक्लूजन which shows a balanced perspective on that particular topic. That would not come with only common sense. So please don't take this section lightly and don't put it for your common sense that okay, ye to I will handle because this is a commonsensical question. The questions are going to be based on common sense. No, it's not going to happen. So it will be very much related to the questions, as I said, not going to be on common sense, and they are going to be very much related to the contemporary changes in the Indian society. So when you are talking about contemporary changes, they are not going to be on common sense, because you have to apply what has been going on in the Indian society, and what are the changes that you can see right now, and they are having their impact on the Indian society. Okay, so uske liye you have to bring out a lot of facts and examples. So and as I said, contemporary changes, and also the questions are going to be interrelated with some other topics. Interrelated topics होंगे जो एक ही क्वेश्चन में पूछ लिए जाएंगे. So वो आप कॉमन सेंस से आंसर नहीं कर पाएंगे. इट हैज़ टू बी बेस्ड ऑन अ वेल read understanding. Okay, I give you an example of a question here to explain the lack of where the common sense is not going to work, and it is more about contemporary changes, so you need to have some factual and updated knowledge about that particular topic. Now, example is the expansion of middle class in India. There can be a question that you have to talk about the expansion of middle class in India and its impact on the Indian society. अब in middle class in India क्या है उसकी understanding you can write on some common sense understanding of the same. But how will you explain the expansion? The question is asking about the expansion of middle class. How will you explain? Now come into the answer writing mode. If this question comes in your paper, the expansion of middle class in India, how will you explain, how will you justify that in Indian society or in Indian population base there is an expansion of middle class in India? Okay? Now, the question has two parts. Its impact on Indian society. ये जो एक्सपेंशन है मिडिल क्लास इन इंडिया का, इसका इंडियन सोसाइटी पे क्या इम्पैक्ट है, इसको भी आपको आंसर करने के लिए यू नीड मल्टीपल पॉइंट्स दैट द इम्पैक्ट इज urbanization, that because they are the outcome of urbanization, different kind of job market, biggest impact is the consumption practices, or let's say consumerism, right? And so that's how you are supposed to explain your answer. सबसे पहले आंसर राइटिंग के लिए आपको ये जानना ज़रूरी है कि आपका क्वेश्चन जो है वो हाउ मेनी पार्ट्स द क्वेश्चन हैव, एंड देन यू हैव टू थिंक very calmly that I need to address all the parts of the question. अगर आपने सारे पार्ट्स नहीं एड्रेस किए तो आप योर आंसर इज इनकम्प्लीट एंड सो वुड बी द मार्क्स. यू फील दैट यू हैव रिटन अ लॉट इन योर आंसर बट मार्क्स नहीं मिले. वो उसका रीज़न ये है बिकॉज आपने क्वेश्चन को अपने हिसाब से आंसर कर दिया है. यू हैव नॉट एड्रेस द डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन, एंड दैट इज़ वाई the kind of marks that you got were not sufficient. Okay? Another very important tip that you have to keep in mind while practicing your answer writing on the basis of previous year question is that you have to have a balanced perspective in your answer. See, Indian society questions are going to be very tricky because there are many in underprivileged or many marginalized section of Indian society. It's quite possible that you don't feel in the same manner about that marginalized section, whether it's women, okay, or whether it's a issue of caste. It's quite possible that you do not feel about these sections of society as government feels. अब इसका क्या मतलब है कि आप उस तरह से फील नहीं करते जिस तरह से गवर्नमेंट फील करती है. इसका मतलब ये है कि गवर्नमेंट तो बहुत सारी स्कीम ले आती है यू नो द मार्जिनलाइज सेक्शन ऑफ सोसाइटी के लिए, बट यू फील दैट यू नो दिस इज नॉट नीडेड, ऑलराइट, or other way around could be that you feel it is more needed and you feel that the government is not doing enough, right? Both can be possible, but when you're answering your question, you are not supposed to take one side of the picture. You are supposed to, at the end conclusion में आपको, and that is you have to keep in mind for sure कि conclusion में आपको एक non biased balanced answer रखना है. अब वो कैसे होगा? For example, there is a question on women equality. Okay, आपको लगता है जेंडर इक्वालिटी ऑलरेडी बहुत है और स्कीम्स की ज़रूरत नहीं है, बट गवर्नमेंट जो है वो बहुत स्कीम्स ला रही है. यू हैव टू नो that if the government is bringing a lot of schemes, then you can't say the schemes are not needed. Then you have to bring a balanced picture by showing on the fact that okay, on these aspects gender equality has been met. For example, sex ratio, which is improving. Okay, so you can say on these aspects the gender equality has been met, but as far as labor force participation is concerned, the gender equality is still lagging behind. There women presence is still remarkably low in the labor market. So that is how you have to provide a balanced picture where it is positive and where it is negative. You are not only supposed to talk only about positive, you are not only supposed to talk only about negative, you are supposed to take a balanced perspective. Okay, your answer should be non-biased. Non-biased का मतलब क्या होता है? That you are not favoring any side in your answer. You have to take a non-biased का मतलब होता है that you have to take a neutral stance or neutral position in your answer writing. Keep that in mind. This will save you, because then you have to, because then the reader would get to know that you have a balanced approach towards looking at things. Agar aap they have to imagine you as administrator, right? So they have to see that if you are put into a situation, are you able to take a balanced approach to solve that position, या आप एक बायस स्टांस लेके उस सिचुएशन को और कॉम्प्लिकेटेड कर देंगे. ओके, सो द न्यूट्रल स्टांस इज ऑलवेज अ सेफ स्टांस. ऑलराइट, नाउ another very important point is that your answer should be analytical answer. That your answer should be analytical answer. Analytical answer means that you are analyzing, you're trying to analyze various factors, various points, point 1, 2, 3, 4. You're trying to analyze these points in your answer. Okay, और जब भी, और इस बात को आप याद रखिए, जब भी whenever you're writing the answer on the basis of points is going to be very, very effective answer writing. It's very easy for the reader to know your mind. It is very easy for the reader that how you have divided the answer and what approach you have taken. अगर आप एक आंसर को एक पूरा मान लीजिए आपको 150 मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन आता है और आप उसको एक पैराग्राफ की तरह लिख देते हैं पूरे आंसर को. ओके, अब एक तो जो है वो पैराग्राफ की तरह लिख देते हैं और जो दूसरे जो हैं वो पूरे क्वेश्चन को डिवाइड करते हैं और फिर हर पार्ट के कुछ कुछ पॉइंट्स देते हैं, ठीक है, और फिर एक कंक्लूजन देते हैं. सो द एग्जामिनर इज गोइंग टू put this one on a higher mark. देन वन हु हैज रिटन एवरीथिंग इन वन पैरा. 150 मार्क्स नंबर का वर्ड्स का ही तो एक पैरा लिख देते, 150 वर्ड्स हो गए, मेरा आंसर उसमें पूरा मैंने लिख दिया. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता है. यू हैव टू प्रोवाइड द पॉइंट बेस्ड अंडरस्टैंडिंग. पॉइंट बेस्ड अंडरस्टैंडिंग में you will be able to put your mind out that I can think in an organized manner, and that is how you are supposed to write the answer. This will go mumble jumble. They will, because उसमें examiner को सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत होगी to find the right kind of keywords. Okay, they are not looking for that. They don't want to search for that. बट इफ़ यू गिव योर आंसर पॉइंट बाय पॉइंट और उस पॉइंट की शुरुआत ही कीवर्ड से हो रही है, देन यू आर डूइंग अ गुड जॉब ऑन योर आंसर राइटिंग. सो एनालिटिकल आंसर्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. यू हैव टू प्रोवाइड different sections in your answers and provide clarity by analyzing different points at different level. Now, why you need to, again I would say, why you need to practice the answer writing of this section. They want to check your knowledge, that whether do you understand social issues, do you understand the society and the social issues around you, can you think of the solution of those social issues. Because all the questions are not only questions are also problems in a way. Indirect way mein they are posing problems in front of you, and with your answers they are going to check whether you can provide solutions to these problems. Okay, and very important point now, when you are providing solution to these problems, what is your perspective? What is the meaning of perspective? Perspective means that what is your standpoint, what is your stance, what is your position that you are taking to provide solution. So the key mantra is of studying Indian society and writing in the society is to provide, to show that you understand the nuances of Indian society. So that's why you can administer it. Because if you do not understand your society, how would you administer it? So if they want to give you the key of holding, the administration of a particular section of society, they would definitely like to check whether you understand the problems of that society, or whether you can think of some solution of that society, and whether you can provide the solution with the right perspective, with a balanced perspective, with a unbiased perspective. Very, very important. So you have to ये सब प्री रेक्विजिट है आंसर राइटिंग से पहले. आपको ये सब तैयारी अपने दिमाग में करनी है अबाउट दिस पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन ऑफ योर एग्जामिनेशन, कि इस सेक्शन ऑफ एग्जामिनेशन को मुझे ऐसे अप्रोच करना है, क्योंकि इस सेक्शन ऑफ एग्ज़ाम के थ्रू दे आर गोइंग टू चेक दिस साइड ऑफ माई पर्सनैलिटी, दैट वेदर आई अंडरस्टैंड द सोसाइटी इन विच आई लिव और नॉट. So I have to tell the reader that yes, I do understand the society in which I'm living in so and so manner, because I can understand the problem. I can think of solution in a balanced manner. That is it. That is what they are trying to tell you. They are trying to know about you. Now, how to practice answer writing of the Indian society paper? और फॉर दैट मैटर आई वुड से कि ये जो पॉइंट्स है ये आपके किसी भी आंसर राइटिंग में आपको हेल्प करेंगे, नॉट ओनली फॉर द इंडियन सोसाइटी. नाउ आंसर राइटिंग व्हेन यू आर स्टार्टिंग, और प्रैक्टिस व्हेन यू आर स्टार्टिंग, you start with the previous year question paper, right? When you read a question, of previous year, try to answer the demand of the question. What the question is demanding from you. As I said, they are not demanding an expert kind of a knowledge. They are demanding some aspect of societies or your knowledge on some aspect of society, and those aspects are, as I said, interrelated. So if you can provide an understanding of two interrelated aspects of the society, then you are understanding the demand of the. आप क्वेश्चन जब आपके सामने आता है उसको पहले 2 बार पढ़िए. एक्सप्लेन लिखा होता है, एक्सप्लोर लिखा होता है, एग्जामिन लिखा होता है. क्वेश्चन स्टार्ट फ्रॉम डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ डिमांड्स. One question will say explore and evaluate the impact of work from home on family and relationship during COVID-19. Another question say examine the role or the role of urbanization or role of globalization in the expansion of cities, tier 2 cities in India. तो एक तो क्वेश्चन आ गया एक्सप्लोर पर, एक आ गया एग्जामिन में. ओके, सो एक्सप्लोर में इज़ लाइक यू हैव टू प्रोवाइड डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ वेरिएशन इन दैट बिकॉज यू हैव टू एक्सप्लोर डिफरेंट possibilities of that aspect. Examine is like you have to critically examine, you have to show the positive and the negative because you're examining, you're testing whether this is right or wrong. Okay, so that's how you are supposed to understand the demand of the question में पूछा क्या जा रहा है. And accordingly, when I said that when you read the question 2-3 times, you will get to know what are they trying to ask you. Then think about it for a couple of minutes and try to tell yourself that what is the demand of the question, and then as per the demand of the question decide the flow of the answer. फ्लो ऑफ द आंसर में देखिए जनरली आपको बता दिया जाएगा कि फ्लो ऑफ द आंसर में क्या होता है. एक इंट्रोडक्शन होता है, एक मेन बॉडी ऑफ द आंसर होता है और एक कंक्लूजन होता है. ठीक है, ये तो आपको इन जनरल पता है कि आपको ऐसे आंसर को लिखना है. बट व्हेन यू आर थिंकिंग द आंसर एज पर द डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन, देन यू हैव टू थिंक दैट ओके, अब इसके इंट्रोडक्शन में क्या आएगा, बॉडी में मैं क्या व्हाट एम आई गोइंग टू राइट एंड हाउ एम आई गोइंग टू कंक्लूड इट. If you are able to process this in your mind, then your answer writing is done. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind, that how are you going to address the demand of the question. Now it's quite possible that your knowledge at that point that you have is unable to address all the demands of the question. आपको सारे aspect of question नहीं आते हैं. So then also you try to write the body, intro, body and conclusion in such a manner that you are able to address the maximum demand of the question. अपने pool of knowledge को इस तरह से steer आपको करना है that at least you are able to answer the maximum side of the demand of the question. अगर आप सारा नहीं कर पा रहे तो कम से कम maximum की तरफ जाइए. Okay. Very important second point, there should be flow in your answer. एक argument का flow होना चाहिए. It's not that कि आपने एक definition दे दिया and now you're developing your answer only on the definition. No, definition दे दिया, अब उसके बाद उसकी डिमांड पे आई क्वेश्चन पे कि उस डेफिनेशन के बाद क्या पूछा जा रहा है, उसको इम्प्लीमेंटेशन कहाँ करना है उस डेफिनेशन का, वो उस कॉन्सेप्ट की अगली अंडरस्टैंडिंग मुझे क्या देनी है. ओके, सो जो इंट्रो आपने लिखा है वो डेफिनेटली इट इज़ गोइंग टू बी इंक्लूडिंग द डेफिनेशन ऑफ द क्वेश्चन दैट इज़ बीन आस्क्ड फ्रॉम यू. और पर आपको ये देखना है कि इंट्रो के बाद जो बॉडी है उसमें एक लिंक हो, और जो बॉडी है वो अल्टीमेटली इट शुड लीड टू कंक्लूजन, जहाँ पे आप कुछ वे फॉरवर्ड दे के that what is the way forward in that domain. उससे आप conclude कर दीजिए. And these three part of the answer are going to be connected. इसमें एक flow होगा. Okay. As I said, you need to try to build the content in your mind. जब तक आप content in your अपने mind में नहीं बनाएंगे, you will not be able to answer the question. Don't jump onto the writing very soon. As I said, read, then think, then imagine your answer कि वो कैसा लगेगा, and then write. इस पूरे प्रोसेस में रीड, थिंक और इमेजिन को अगर आपने एक डिसेंट टाइम और डिसेंट अटेंशन दे दिया, देन यू विल बी एबल टू राइट इट. अब रीड के बाद अगर मैं डायरेक्टली आई जंप ऑन टू राइट, then I will not be able to do justice with my answer. I have to think and imagine that how my answer is going to go. Think is to structure the kind of fact you want to put, the kind of information you want to give in your answer writing, and then imagine that how overall your answer should look like. Because देखिए, इसमें प्रॉब्लम एक ये भी है कि आपको वर्ड लिमिट बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं दिया है. वर्ड लिमिट होगा मैक्सिमम 150 वर्ड्स का या 250 वर्ड्स का. अब उसमें आप यू कैन नॉट राइट एंड राइट एंड राइट. यू हैव टू प्रोवाइड एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ मल्टीपल थिंग्स. अब उन मल्टीपल थिंग्स के लिए यू हैव टू थिंक कि मैं उस जो भी कॉन्सेप्ट या आस्पेक्ट पूछा गया है उसका which portion I should bring into my answer. Okay, so when you know that which portion you should bring into your answer, that is what the thinking job will do. And when you know कि different portion का different aspect का which portion should come in your answer, and when you know that, then you will be able to imagine your answer well. That okay, अगर मुझसे ये पूछा जा रहा है कि मिडिल क्लास के और टीयर 2 सिटीज़ के एक्सपेंशन का मिडिल क्लास के एक्सपेंशन पे क्या व्हाट इज़ द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ टीयर 2 सिटीज़ ऑन द मिडिल क्लास एक्सपेंशन, then I have to talk about tier 2 city, what are those. I have to talk about middle class, and I also need to talk about it how middle class is taking different shape in tier 2 cities, which is based on consumption or which is based on different kind of jobs. All right, so you have to imagine, you have to think of your answers and imagine your answer in a flow in this manner. Okay, कि किस कॉन्सेप्ट का क्या अंडरस्टैंडिंग मैं अपने आंसर में लेकर आऊँगा, विच इज़ गोइंग टू ब्रिंग टू कॉन्सेप्ट्स टुगेदर. ये नहीं कि एक को अलग एड्रेस कर दिया, मिडिल क्लास को एकदम से अलग एड्रेस कर दिया उसका डेफिनेशन देके, टीयर 2 सिटीज़ को एकदम से अलग एड्रेस कर दिया उसका डेफिनेशन देके, and then you are trying to mix them together somewhere or the other. No, जब आप टीयर 2 का एक्सप्लेनेशन दे रहे हैं और जब आप मिडिल क्लास का एक्सप्लेनेशन दे रहे हैं, कुछ फैक्टर्स को कॉमन लिख दीजिए. राइट, कि ये मान लीजिए लिबरलाइजेशन है, ठीक है. लिबरलाइजेशन is a factor for the tier 2 city expansion as well as the middle class expansion. यहाँ पे आपने जब लिबरलाइजेशन एक फैक्टर को इन दोनों में कॉमन करके दिखा दिया तो आपने इन दोनों को कंबाइन कर दिया. So then you will be able to justify the expansion of tier 2 city and the expansion of middle class together. क्योंकि उसके कॉज कहीं ना कहीं सिमिलर है. That's what you have justified. So that's how you are supposed to write that. Okay. Now coming to the next point, which is relevant for your answer writing practice. After thinking about the content, after structuring your answer, you also need to have a spatial structure of your answer. What is spatial structure? How am I going to um, give the points of my question? How am I going to give the introduction, a little paragraph, and then I'm going to talk about the points? I should not directly start with the points. I should give a little small 2, 3, 4 line paragraph as an introduction, and then I should come to different points. Okay. What kind of spatial structure में ये भी आएगा कि what kind of margins you want to leave for your sheet. Your handwriting, very important for your presentation of answer. How your handwriting is going to, talk about issues, or talk about your knowledge, because एक अच्छी हैंडराइटिंग एक रीडर को आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग और आपका माइंडसेट को टू अंडरस्टैंड योर माइंडसेट एंड टू अंडरस्टैंड योर पर्सपेक्टिव, अ गुड हैंडराइटिंग विल हेल्प इन दैट. And a bad handwriting, when the examiner is struggling to know what you have written, how will he try to understand what do you mean what you have written? Or he would have to struggle more to know your perspective. So handwriting is going to be very crucial for your answer writing. So because वो एक balanced perspective भी दिखाता है अगर आपकी handwriting it's neat and your presentation of the answer is well. So when you talk about the structure of your answer, उसमें content तो important है ही structure में, पर presentation भी उतना ही important है, handwriting भी उतनी ही important है. पर देखिए जब when I'm saying all that, you must be thinking कि अरे then तो you need everything for answer writing. No, you need multiple ingredients to make an answer in a moderate manner. Okay, why? Because अगर presentation अच्छा होगा, handwriting भी अच्छी होगी, पर content अच्छा नहीं होगा, तो फिर the answer is not good. Content बहुत अच्छा होगा, handwriting अच्छी नहीं होगी, presentation अच्छी नहीं होगी, then it will not be an impressive answer. So you have to develop an art of presenting your answer also well. अब presentation कैसे अच्छा हो सकता है? Presentation ऐसे अच्छा हो सकता है that how you substantiate your answer, how you add value to your answer. कैसे value add करते हैं हम अपने answer में? आप value add कर सकते हैं by adding a map. You can also add value to your answer by adding a diagram. ओके, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर आपको पता है कि Tier 2 सिटी कैसे डेवलप हो रही हैं या स्मार्ट सिटीज़ हो रही हैं, तो इफ़ यू मेक अ फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ़ यू मेक इंडियाज़ मैप विच इज़ and then you point out certain location where you can chalk out that Tier 2 cities earlier were this much and now they are this much, and how middle class expansion is happening to certain cities, and you mark them in the map. It adds value to your answer. In some of the question, if you add diagrams, bar charts, you write good examples. Sometimes you also use quotes, relevant quotes on that particular area, keywords. अब आप, you're talking about something related to entrepreneurship, a question आ गया है, and then you know one keyword, make in India. Okay, and you use that word in your answer, it is going to add value to your answer, that you are aware that why the recent slogan of your government policies, you are using them in your answer. That's going to add value to your answer substantially. And of course, when you present diagram, picture speaks 1,000 words. When you try to explain something through a picture or a flow chart, then it becomes very easy for the examiner, for the reader, to know what you're trying to say in a very structured manner. So please try to beautify, please try to add value to your answer, by adding these features such as maps, diagrams, bar charts, keywords, examples and quotes. Now next very important aspect is आपने handwriting sort out कर ली, presentation देख लिया, you have also decided that how you are going to structure your answer, content, maps, diagram, but you also need to focus on the speed of your paper. A good handwriting but missing some questions, you lose some questions is not a good idea. You are going to leave some questions at the end कि paper छूट गया, that's not a good idea. Then writing slowly and thinking slowly is not going to get value to you. Speed is very very important. You have to answer writing का main skill जो आपको और develop करना है वो ये भी है कि आप अपने आंसर में स्पीड एज पर द टाइम कैसे लेकर आएंगे. कितने क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, उनमें से 10 मार्क्स के कितने हैं, 15 मार्क्स के कितने हैं, हाउ मच टाइम आई एम गोइंग टू गिव टू 10 मार्क्स, हाउ मच टाइम आई एम गोइंग टू गिव टू माई 15 मार्क्स क्वेश्चंस. प्लीज़ स्टिक अराउंड दैट टाइमिंग, क्योंकि अगर आपने टाइम ज़्यादा ले लिया तो आपका पेपर छूट जाएगा, विच इज़ नॉट अ गुड आइडिया. सो कीप द स्पीड, द टाइम फ्रेम, द टाइम लिमिट इन माइंड, very very important. And then when you are answering your you are in the answer practice of answer writing, when you write an answer, तो ये नहीं होना चाहिए प्रैक्टिस में कि हाँ ठीक है प्रैक्टिस हो गया, मैंने आई हैव रिटन वन आंसर and now I'll write some other answer tomorrow. No. When you have written an answer, try to analyze your answer. Try to see how well you have written. Try to read and reread it and then see how well you have written. Your point should be, your critical lens should be on your own answer writing. And your critical lens should tell you what? How can I improve this answer? और जब आप इस स्किल को डेवलप कर लेंगे दैट यू आर जजिंग योर ओन आंसर्स एंड ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ यू कैन इम्प्रूव, नॉट बाय रैंडम थिंग्स कि अच्छा ये भी ऐड हो सकता है वो भी ऐड, नो, एज पर द डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन. इफ़ यू कुड कम that how could, if you come up to this stage that you know how to improve your answer, that is going to be very very effective for your actual answer writing for the paper. So when you are writing your answer for practice, please analyze those answers and try to tell yourself that how you can improve those answers. All right. Now another very important point. What you can do, what if you do not know the answer? What if you do not know the answer? Then what will you do? Then you have to give your best with the whatever pool of knowledge that you have. You have to give best of that. Okay. So you are supposed to see, अगर आपको लगता है कि इसमें मुझे थोड़ा कम आता है तो you try to stick with that limited knowledge to the keywords of the question. क्योंकि अगर आपने अपनी limited knowledge को keywords of the question से match कर दिया, then your answer will become little better, little effective. And listen, if you do that, any marks are better than 0 marks. Okay, so bring your knowledge to something, to some level when you do not know the answer, but try to stick around the keywords of the question, the demands of the question, and then you will be able to give your best to those questions also which are जिसका आंसर आपको नहीं आता है. Okay, now what is the key of saving time while writing your answer? What is the key of matching the speed? देखिए स्पीड आप तभी मैच कर पाएंगे, उसको मैं यहाँ समझाती हूँ. if I have more space here. Okay, let me take it here. स्पीड जो है वो आप तभी मैच कर पाएंगे जब आप थोड़ा टाइम सेविंग स्किल्स भी जानते हैं आंसर राइटिंग में. नाउ हाउ विल दैट कम? That will come that when you read a paper, okay, let's say there are 20 questions. Okay, now when you're reading the paper, एक first flow में first question को देख के आंसर शुरू मत कर दीजिएगा. First you read the whole paper. Try to have a sense of the paper, that how much do you actually know. Now you will have some questions जिसके बारे में आपको बिल्कुल नॉलेज नहीं होगी. You put let's say 5 questions, उसके आगे आप क्रॉस लगा दीजिए कि इसमें हम टाइम एंड में लगाएंगे. ठीक है, उसके बाद आपको कुछ क्वेश्चंस होंगे जो आपको टू अ सर्टेन एक्सटेंट आते होंगे, मॉडरेटली आते होंगे. उसके आगे आप इज इक्वल टू लगा सकते हैं, क्या हैशटैग कर दीजिए दैट दिस आई नो मॉडरेट. ओके, नाउ यू नो उस पर आपको कितना समय लगाना है. देन यू हैव क्वेश्चन जिसके बारे में आपको यू नो द आंसर, हाँ, मोर देन एवरेज आपको आंसर आता है. उसके आगे आपको टिक लगाना है. एंड देन सम क्वेश्चन विच यू नो द बेस्ट, वो 2-3 होते हैं. उसके आगे आपको यू कैन मेक अ स्टार और एस्ट्रिक. वंस यू डू दिस एक्सरसाइज यू नो कि अब आपको कैसे अपना पेपर को डील करना है. ये आप तय करके जाइएगा कि 10 मार्क्स में आई विल गिव दिस मच टाइम, 15 मार्क्स में आई विल गिव दिस मच टाइम टू द आंसर राइटिंग. Now when you start with those answers which you know the best, you'll be able to do it very quickly. Then come to those which you know more than average. That also you will do within the given time. अब आते हैं ये वाले सवाल जिनके बारे में आपको थोड़ा पता है. You will have to think little on that. So give little time to this and then frame your answer more, because then you will be able to give justice to that question जिसके बारे में you know little but you have not much knowledge, but with the pool of different knowledge you should be able to answer this question. और जो आपको बिल्कुल नहीं आते हैं, अब उनके बारे में आप सोचिए कि जो आपको आता है वो नॉलेज हाउ कैन यू ब्रिंग टू आंसर दीज क्वेश्चन बाय मिक्सिंग इट विद द की वर्ड्स ऑफ द क्वेश्चन. ओके, बिल्कुल इलॉजिकल आंसर नहीं लिखना है. यू हैव सम नॉलेज, ट्राई टू रिलेट इट विद द की वर्ड्स ऑफ द क्वेश्चन एंड ट्राई टू आंसर इट देन एट द एंड. अब एंड में आप वो ये वाले आंसर करेंगे जो आपको बिल्कुल नहीं आते हैं. माई पॉइंट इज़ कि व्हेन यू गेट अ क्वेश्चन पेपर, प्लीज़ डिवाइड दैट क्वेश्चन पेपर एज पर द डिफ़िकल्टी लेवल ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस in the very beginning, and then start with the star ones. and वो ये नहीं कि पढ़ते गए और आगे बढ़ते गए, सबके आगे मार्किंग करिए, ये साइन सिम्बल्स लगाइए, सो दैट यू नो कि हाँ इसका स्टेटस ये है, इसका स्टेटस ये है, इसका स्टेटस ये है. चलो अब मैं स्टार वाले क्वेश्चन शुरू करता हूँ पहले, या पहले इसको लिख लेती हैं. सो दैट्स हाउ यू आर सपोज टू डू दैट. सो दिस इज़ हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू मैनेज योर स्पीड ऑल्सो, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. देन लेट अस सी द इंस्ट्रक्शंस ऑफ द पेपर. जो मेंस का जो आपका पेपर आएगा उसके इंस्ट्रक्शन ये होते हैं. टोटल मार्क्स होगा 250 मार्क्स. टाइम ड्यूरेशन इज़ 3 hours, राइट, 180 minutes, विच मीन्स कि इन 250 मार्कर को आंसर करने के लिए यू हैव लेस देन अ मिनट फॉर पर मार्क. दैट मीन्स जितने भी मार्क्स का वो क्वेश्चन है उससे आपको 2 मिनट कम ही मिलेगा उसको आंसर करने के लिए. बिकॉज सी यू कैन सी द डिफरेंस इज अ डिफरेंस ऑफ ऑलमोस्ट और वॉट ऑलमोस्ट 70 पॉइंट्स का डिफरेंस है इन बिटवीन टोटल मार्क्स एंड द टाइम गिवन टू यू. Alright, so that's how you are supposed to keep the timing in your mind. कि वो टाइम आपको उस नंबर ऑफ जो क्वेश्चन का जो मार्क है उससे कम ही टाइम है आपके पास उसको करने का. सो दैट्स हाउ जितना जल्दी स्ट्रक्चर जो क्वेश्चन हो सकता है उसको पहले करिए और उसको ख़त्म करिए, सो दैट यू हैव टाइम टू थिंक मोर लेटर ऑन. There are 20 questions printed both in English and Hindi. All questions are compulsory. The number of marks carried by question or part is printed against it. Answer must be written in the medium that you have chosen. You can't change your medium while you're writing the answer, please. You have to choose your medium beforehand and you have to stick to that. No marks will be given for answer written in the medium other than the authorized medium that you have selected for yourself. Answer to question number 1 to 10 should be in 150 words, whereas answer to question number 11 to 20 should be in 250 words. Okay, which means that you have to write 150 words answer also and 250 words answer also. And that's how you are supposed to. Now अब खेल आ जाता है आपका सारा स्पीड का और टाइम का और टाइम मैनेजमेंट का एज पर द वर्ड्स ऑफ द आंसर. ओके, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज कीप द वर्ड लिमिट इंडिकेटेड इन द क्वेश्चन इन माइंड. अगर आप वर्ड लिमिट से ज़्यादा लिखेंगे तो वो कोई प्लस पॉइंट नहीं है. इट्स बेसिकली यू आर इंडिकेटिंग दैट यू कांट think in a crisp manner, or you can't provide an understanding on any situation in a crisp manner. You are only focusing on the details and hovering around the issues again and again. So word limit is very important. You have to stick to that. Okay, so keep that also in mind. Okay, now जी Indian society की सब these are the topic salient features of Indian society and diversity of India. Salient features क्या होते हैं? Salient का मतलब होता है important. So keep that, let's understand it in a simpler manner. Role of women and women's organization, how the women empowerment has been done in the Indian society. What is the role and status of women in the Indian society? Population and associated issue, how the population is changing and what are the impact of those population change on the Indian society. अब Indian society में change आप कैसे देखते हैं? It will be either through family or through marriage or through older generation people or through women. So population के जो changes हो रहे हैं वो इन सब पे कैसे हो रहे हैं? That's how they are going to ask you. Poverty and development issues, it's quite self-explanatory. The issues related to poverty will be asked. Urbanization, globalization, and then communalism, regionalism, religion, secularism, all this is going to come. Now, let us come to the questions now. Because see, I would have started with the question itself. But जब तक आपको ये spirit नहीं पता लगेगा कि किस तरह से you have to see the question. How you have to prepare yourself for answer writing. Answer writing is not writing something with a pen on the paper. It is about understanding the process. It's a process. And if you master this process of answer writing, which I am trying to tell you, that is going to be the key for success. So please focus on this process, it's very important. Now let us take our first question. Explore and evaluate. This is 2022 questions on Indian society. Let's read the question. Explore and evaluate the impact of work from home on family relationships. Next question. You think that you'll be able to answer this question very well and you put asterisk over here. Next question. How is the growth of Tier 2 city related to the rise of new middle class with an emphasis on the culture of consumption? You think you will be able to answer this question also well. You put an asterisk in front of that too. Then question number 3. Given the diversity among tribal communities in India, In which specific context should they be considered as single category? We will read these questions in detail also when we deal with this question separately. But right now I'm telling you how you're putting in different brackets. Now you feel that this question below average. You'll be able to answer it if you put some information here and there, but you don't know this well. So you put an hashtag here. Okay, salience of sect. Salience, as I said, importance. Importance of sect in Indian society vis-a-vis caste, region, and religion. You think, oh, this is completely, out of my understanding. It's going to be, very tricky for me to answer this question because you have to think more on this question. So you put a cross here. Then you read next question, role of tolerance, assimilation and pluralism in the Indian secularism. You think that this is an average question, so I should be able to answer it in an average manner. You again put an hashtag here. Now what will you do? You will start with these two questions, go to question number 3 and then question number 5, and at the last you will do question number 4. You have set the steps forward in front of you. अब इस पे आपको टाइम वेस्ट बाद में नहीं करना है. आपका टाइम तो आपने चैनलाइज कर लिया कि पहले मैं इसका आंसर करूँगी, फिर इसका, एंड दैट्स हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू channelize your speed and you are going to save some time. Now let's go to the question by question how you are going to deal with that. Now explore and evaluate the work from home on family relationship. So ये जो टर्म है वर्क फ्रॉम होम, अगर आपने करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ा होगा तो आपको ये पता होगा दिस टर्म कम्स डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम COVID-19 पैंडेमिक. Okay, what you have to do is that you have to in this question what you'll do is you'll start with work from home, why it came, and how it is implemented or how it is done. अब उसके बाद आपसे बोला है कि ऑन द फैमिली रिलेशनशिप व्हाट आर द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ द सेम. यू हैव टू एक्सप्लोर एंड इवैल्यूएट. आपको एक्सप्लोर भी करना है दैट व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ इम्पैक्ट इट हैज़ ऑन फैमिली रिलेशनशिप. तो आपको उसमें प्लस बताना है और माइनस भी बताना है, एंड देन इवैल्यूएट दैट विच साइड ऑफ प्लस एंड माइनस इज गोइंग टू बी heavier. So on the work from home, during COVID-19 it became a norm. You can say that it became a norm, but it did not become norm for everybody. It only became norm for those people whose work was dependent on IT or could be done through usage of IT, information technology, and that's how people could be at home and work. Okay, but now what are they asking, that what is the impact of the family relation? When they were sitting at home and working, the positive side was they have more time, they have no travel, okay, and then they have flexible schedules. Okay, so these can be your positive parts when you're evaluating of work from home. Now if you see that okay, hold on, there are some negative effect of that also. Work from home is not always positive. What happened when people was doing work from home? It challenged their work-life balance. That when you're working from home and your work and home are in the same space, then it definitely have a impact on work-life balance. People could not balance their work and their homes. It also increased the stress among people. Why? Because work from home was essentially done in COVID-19 when there was no domestic help, no servants. So how uh, the division of labor during work from home has an impact on the family relation, or how people were, made to, or whether people could start working for the household during COVID-19, those who were not doing earlier, and how it led to family relationship, or whether it led to more conflict, or whether it led to more stress, or and whether it led to, in some cases, domestic violence also, because people were not, those who were not keen to do work at home, or their relation got stringent because people had to manage household work on their own. Most of the, you can also write a very important point that most of the burden of work from home fell on the shoulders of women, and when men were not participating in work from home, in the household work, then it led to tension between family members. Another problem that you can cite is that, it led, less people had space crunch, children suffer because both of men and women were at home, they were doing their work, they could not focus on the children because schools were also closed. Okay, so space was a problem. So then, the balance conclusion at the end, you can write that the impact of work from home on family relations in India is a mix of positive and negative, aspects. So while it has allowed, the increase in family time and reduced stress from commuting, it has also led to challenges in maintaining a healthy work-life balance. Very, very important that how people would balance their work life. That was a very important aspect of the work from home. And also, it is essential for employees and their families to establish clear boundaries and communication to navigate new work from home culture effectively. When work from home came as part of COVID, nobody knew what's going on. Everybody just got into work from home without any preparation. But now, if people have to continue with work from home, some standard practices, some policies should be formulated. This is by saying that at the end, policies should be formed. People should, by saying that at the end about the policy, you are giving a way forward. That this is how it should be done for the future. Agar work from home, if we have to have a right balance of work from home and its impact on the family relationships. So that's how, at the end of all the questions, way forward, a positive conclusion, a balanced conclusion, not a positive conclusion only, a balanced conclusion is very important. Alright, now let's move to the second question. Now, second question says that how is the growth of tier 2 cities related to the rise of new middle class, with an emphasis on culture of consumption? So this question was for 150 words. So how is the growth of tier 2 city related to the rise of new middle class? अब पहले इस question को अगर आप दो बार पढ़ते हैं, that how is the growth of tier 2 cities related to the rise of new middle class with an emphasis on culture of consumption, what you get is that I have to start my answer with the growth of tier 2 city. Okay, वो क्यों हुआ? Why it happened? Okay, what were the factors? इन्हीं factors में से वो factors निकल के आएंगे जिससे rise of new middle class हुआ होगा. Because if these two, see, what are they saying? Tier 2 city growth and rise of middle class, they both are related. Related is here, which means the factors are related. The factors that led to the growth of both of them, they are interrelated. जो factors growth of tier 2 city में contribute कर रहे थे, वही factors middle class की growth में भी contribute किए. तो you have to come up with those factors which are common. वो क्या हो सकते हैं? वो हो सकते हैं economic liberalization, okay, foreign investments. अब foreign investments तो city spaces में ही होंगे, so that's why tier 2 city expanded. And when foreign investment happened, it led to different kind of job market which was hovering around the cities. Okay, now when everything is happening around cities, people started migrating towards cities. And when migration of people happened in in city spaces within India, मान लीजिए cities हैं. Now within these cities, retail, e-commerce, real estate became forms of consumption. Because अब जो जॉब मार्केट आ रही थी, that led to disposable income. See, whenever you are talking about, अब इसमें एक important aspect क्या है इस question में? They are talking about culture of consumption. Culture of consumption only is there when there is a disposable income. Disposable income means extra income. So extra income जब होती है, then you tend to consume more on the products which are only on the basis of not restricted to necessity, but they are also based on conspicuous consumption that is not needed, but people do it for other reasons, for pleasure, for branding, for show off. That's how the consumption patterns are there for the middle class. So when you are writing the tier 2 cities, the new middle class, one more important factor that you have to keep in mind, that they are talking not about middle class, it's about new middle class, which means you need to provide a little understanding कि जो tier 2 cities थी, tier 2 cities are simply newer cities, or which are in a smaller location. So the newer cities थी that led to new middle class. How? Because when you say why they are new middle class, because this refers to socio-economic group that has emerged in India due to economic liberalization, increased disposable income, and improved access to education and job opportunities. They could access education, they could access labor market, and they could also have better income, which was disposable. So you have to give a definition of new middle class also over here. And when you combine these two, then you will be able to come up with common. अब common क्या निकला? Common निकला economic liberalization, common निकला urbanization. इन्हीं की वजह से ये दोनों changes हुए ना, new cities आई और new middle class का culture of consumption expand किया. And then urbanization, then jobs and income got better. But how it led to consumption? Basically, the growth of organized retail and e-commerce has led to increased consumer spending on branded goods and branded stuff. The demand for and another culture of consumption was due to, of course, one was due to the retail stores which are rampant in this tier 2 city. Then you have real estate coming up, because when people will move to city, they would like to buy something over there. and then their consumption is also related to leisure and entertainment. Why? Because it has become a very important part of the new middle class society. The new middle class has more disposable income to spend on leisure activities such as dining out, movies, travel, contributing to the growth of the hospitality and entertainment sector. So that is how, uh, when Tier 2 city came new as an outcome of economic liberalization, then more investment came forward, new kind of job market came forward, and then you realize this all these changes led to the rise of new middle class because people were moving towards the city, and then they were leading the middle class lifestyle, which was now based on consumption because the job market was different, it was paying better, and then you have disposable income, and which led to the culture of consumption. So these things are interrelated, right? पहले cities आई, फिर उसमें middle class was coming, and then it led to culture of consumption. And that is how you present a flow. If you know the sequence कि पहले क्या हुआ और फिर बाद में क्या हुआ और फिर then what happened next, और consumer pattern किस तरह से middle class के they came forward in the cities, tier 2 cities. So that's how you are supposed to write this answer too. Now let us now let us move to the next question that came last year. Given the diversity among the tribal communities in India, in which specific context should they be considered as single category? Now what is the question saying? It is first of all admitting that there is a diversity among the tribal communities in India. You need to first explain that. How can you explain the diversity in tribal community in India? अगर आपने tribe ठीक से पढ़ा होगा, then you would be knowing what kind of tribes are there, what kind of marriage practices they have, what kind of culture they have. Then you will be able to write very well the diversity of tribal communities in India. But then what you have to argue next is that why they are still considered as a single category. अब उसके लिए आपको क्या करना है? That despite the vast variety or diversity among the communities of India, they are considered a single category because they are given constitutional provision. Why? Because they are given the status of STs. Okay, by Article 342 of the Indian Constitution, all tribal communities are given the status of ST, which brings them together as a single category. Okay, now what else brings them as a single category? Their need for socio-economic development. All the tribes stand at the marginalized situation that there is a need for socio-economic development in those areas where they reside. That is also bring them close. Now one more very important aspect of this is when you are thinking of the tribes as single category, one thing is very common in them is their culture, because tribal communities are known for the preservation of their culture that they are able to do over a long period of time. सो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल, अगर आप ये बता देते हैं कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन उनको क्या प्रोविज़न देता है उनके लिए, व्हाट आर देयर नीड्स, व्हाट आर द बेनिफिट्स, नीड्स and what is what is the uniqueness in them. You are able to provide them the answer that why the tribe or tribal community are still put as the single category, uh, uh, a single category of people in within India. All right. So, in conclusion, you can say that despite the diversity among tribal community in India, they can be considered as single category in specific contexts such as legal, constitutional, socio-economic development, and cultural preservation. This categorization enables the government to provide targeted support and protection, ensuring their overall development and the preservation of their unique culture heritage. उनकी culture heritage को भी preserve is one of the motive of the government of India. So that's how, when the focus on all tribes is like that, by the government of India, it does put these tribal communities as a single category. All right. Now, what we have done in this session today is that we have tried to know the demands of the question, and then on the basis of that we have tried to provide different sections of the answer in a structured manner, in a flow manner. And before that, I have tried to explain the real strategy for आंसर राइटिंग. देखिए, किसी भी चीज़ को शुरू करने से पहले से उसको शुरू करना इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं होता है. You have to make a strategy. Some people think that we study a lot, we practice a lot, but still नंबर नहीं आए, मार्क्स नहीं आए. क्यों? क्योंकि आप जुट गए सिर्फ. You just got on to reading and writing. No, you have to do smart reading and smart writing. And that is what I am trying to tell you through this session, that answer writing is not just writing. Is also providing your mindset to examiner. And you have to provide the right kind of mindset by answering the right, or by addressing the right demand of the question. Keep that in mind, please. And to understand the demand of the question, you have to read and reread the paper 2 times to know that how are you going to answer it. And then you put the फ्लो चार्ट ऑफ क्या क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन इसमें आ सकती है और क्या क्या आप उसमें ऐड कर सकते हैं. इंट्रो थोड़ा सा लिखिए 2-3 लाइन का, और उसके बाद आंसर शुरू करिए. ऑलराइट. सो विद दिस आई conclude this session, and I will come up with more session with more analysis of previous year questions, so that you can develop a more nuanced understanding of answer writing. कि हर question का जब answer writing का तरीका जब आप देखेंगे तो आपको समझ में आएगा. Then you develop an understanding कि अच्छा आंसर को लिखना कैसे है, question को समझना कैसे है, and then how you are supposed to write the answer thereafter. And that is why these sessions for practice are important, because they give you an overall understanding of how you are going to write your answer. So stay connected, and you also try to watch follow-up videos which are there, which I am going to take very soon, to develop the skill of answer writing. And remember my word I am saying at the end, the exam is about the answer writing skill. It is not about knowledge only. So with this note, I would take your leave, and I would wish you all the best with your answer writing practice. Take care.